All right, get it on. Let's go. Come on, guys. Let's go. Command, I've got trade at church, but I don't have anybody with me to stop trade turning on at church. The protesters are headed on the milkshake at this time. If someone could switch over and raise the commander at the ballpark and let them know that this protest is headed that way, clear that traffic out. Read it out before they get there. And church, close down 3rd Street. They're coming up. Or close down church. I'm sorry. Close down church. They're coming up.
I want to wish you guys a good Saturday morning, and thank you for joining us here on NBC Charlotte. I'm Diane Gallagher. We do begin with those protests that broke out last night and continued throughout the night in the wake of a mistrial in the case against CMPD Officer Randall Kerrick. Now, jurors could not come to a unanimous decision on whether or not Officer Kerrick was justified in shooting and killing Jonathan Farrell back in September of 2013. Overall, those protests were peaceful, but there were a couple of violent moments. And NBC Charlotte's Richard Devane is live now in Uptown this morning. And Richard, what's the atmosphere like this morning? This is where most of those incidents actually happened.
Absolutely correct, Diane. This is where the worst of the incidents happened, at the transit center, but I'll step out of the way. You can see right now things are back to normal after this place was actually closed at 11 last night after those protests got violent and out of hand, if you will. Now, as we look at video, we can tell you this all happened after that mistrial. Earlier in the evening, as you said, not that bad. But about 100 or so folks took to the streets, made their way here to the transit center. And as you can see, a couple of people really got out of hand. One man taken down by transit security guards. Now, at that time, police said, hey, if you pass this area, you will be subject to be arrested. That's when the crowd started to move away from the transit center, and they started to move toward BB&T Ballpark, where there was a Knights game last night. Now, at times, there were concerns about the safety of some of the people inside the stadium. They actually were escorted out through a side gate and then another gate when the crowd moved away. You can see folks jumping on cars. Some of these protesters, we're told, were from people from out of town. SWAT team was deployed around the stadium, but for the most part, things were kept in order. All in all, a tense night, some raw emotions after this mistrial, but overall things look relatively calm right now. That's the story here in Uptown. Richard Devane, back to you.
Real quick, Richard, you and I were both there at the trial together, especially as that happened. You were out there as those protests began, sort of laying out to the street. Not the same faces in that video, though, from those people that we saw there.
Absolutely correct. As a matter of fact, I spoke to all of the folks who were in court, those members of the Black Lives Matter. They told me on Thursday that they would be having a die-in and things of that nature in Uptown, some sort of civil disobedience. But they also told me that they knew that folks who were in Ferguson as well as Baltimore were in town. They were not in the courtroom, and they would be making their presence felt. We said, would it get violent? They said they could not guarantee it would not. They also said they expected to see things like folks throwing bricks and things like that. And I do know that once that mistrial happened, they came downstairs. All of them were getting on their cells, organizing. And of course, we saw what happened last night.
All right, thanks so much for your insight there, Richard. So after the judge did declare that mistrial, both the mayor of Charlotte and the chief of police took an opportunity to talk about this trial and remind the people of Charlotte about having an open mind. Take a listen here.
And so what we ask of you, the people of Charlotte, is this. However you may feel about the outcome of this trial or about what should happen next with the pending charges, you must keep your ears, your minds, and your hearts open to the voices of others who may feel differently than you do.
Everyone has a constitutional right to express his or her opinion relative to what happened today. We as an organization will continue to work to facilitate the rights of all individuals who want to assemble and demonstrate lawfully. That right is fundamental to the fabric of a free society and one that our organization takes very, very seriously.
Now, you just heard there from Chief Putney during that press conference, but later Friday night, he put out another statement. It reads in part, "This was a tragic event that changed the lives of many, both in the community and within our CMPD family. The decision to arrest and charge Randall Kerrick was not made unilaterally, nor did it occur in a vacuum. The police department released a separate statement saying they immediately saw peaceful protests, but things then took a turn, saying, quote, officers subsequently observed the crowd transition from peaceful protesters to a younger, more aggressive group of demonstrators as the events of the night developed.
I felt that I got to keep fighting. We must get justice. Jonathan was an innocent bystander looking for help and killed. So we got to stop them from killing our children.
That's Jonathan Farrell's mother, Georgia, and his brother, both saying they are not going to stop until they get justice for Jonathan. But they're asking people of Charlotte for peace, not to protest violently. And they told us right now they are exhausted, frustrated, and disappointed. The Farrell family says they feel like the jury failed Jonathan and that Officer Kerrick should have been convicted. And they sat down with NBC Charlotte's Michelle Bowden for an exclusive interview after the mistrial.
Not the outcome they'd hoped for.
We're going to fight for a retrial.
Jonathan Farrell's mother and the brother that looks so much like him, people still mistakenly call him Jonathan. Neither can understand the jury's inability to reach a verdict.
What do you think happened in the jury room? What happened that they couldn't come to a decision?
They didn't use their common sense, first of all.
Right.
And as second of all, it wasn't their child.
These last few weeks, sitting through the trial, they say, unbelievably difficult.
Officer Kerrick don't talk to me, he don't speak to me, he don't even look my way. That let me know that he know he was wrong. He know that I know that he was wrong. That, what it does to me, just let me see that, oh, he's guilty. He's guilty as sin.
That's why they say they are not giving up.
Still in the fight, still seeking justice, still trying to comfort my family.
He says the mistrial was not justice for Jonathan.
A man is walking around free, and we're sitting up here still hurting.
What would justice be?
A conviction.
Again, that was Michelle Bowden with that exclusive interview there. Now, the Farrell family has been here in Charlotte every day this last month. They say that as tough as this is, they are ready to do it again, and they are praying that they get the chance to. Now, we do need to tell you, we did reach out to the Kerrick family. Our Glenn Counts asked them if they wanted to speak with us. They didn't want to give a statement at this time. We're going to continue our coverage of the Kerrick trial and Friday's protest in our next half hour of news. All right, we want to take a live look now at uptown Charlotte, where all of that was happening last night. Completely different scene this morning. As you can see, Charlotte looking rather serene as the sun has come up on this Saturday morning. And Jim Lytle is here. Jim, it is actually shaping up. You kind of had it in there like as a classic day.
It is a classic day. Normal temperatures, a little humidity out there just to remind us it's August, but it'll be a normal brand of heat and humidity. So I like that. We've had plenty of high heat humidity situations going on, and those high heat humidity situations, well, we're tired of them. So this is going to be a more normal one. 88 for the high, maybe a 20%, 30% chance of some scattered showers and storms this afternoon, but they'll be widely scattered. Quite a bit of cloud cover around right now, 73. We'll be in and out with the sun, and that's one reason why the temperature is going to be held in check today. It is 63 the dew point, and that's not too bad either. So northeast wind bringing in slightly drier air. We'll give you a quick look at area temperatures. Look at those 60s in the mountains. That must feel nice. 72 here in 73 in Charlotte, 71 down in Monroe, 77 at Chester for one of the warm spots, really warming up down that way. And just about everybody today is going to be in the 80s, except the higher mountain communities in the 70s. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about our 7-day forecast, give you a little update on Danny, the hurricane that's down in the tropics, and we'll give all that detail coming up in just a bit.
All right, coming up, the town of Salisbury welcomes home their world champs. We're going to take you there as the Rowan Little League World Series winners come home.
Hey, Charlotte.